Good afternoon. My name is Juanita Lewis, and I'm the Executive Director of Community Voices Heard in New York State. And I'm excited to be here at Netroots in Philadelphia with two amazing Black women who are doing amazing work here, talking about organizing and politics and how important Black women are in both spaces. And our podcast is called Follow Black Women, and it's named after a program and initiative that we have at Community Voices Heard that started back in 2018, where we talked about not just acknowledging Black women as voters, but at the root of democracy, where we wanted to center the voices of Black women as policymakers, as change agents, and being the ones that had the decision making of policies that needed to shape our communities, and wanted to bring that to the forefront. And, as we've been seeing how politics and democracy has been on everyone's lips now, we want to bring this conversation here at Netroots. And so I have the honor of talking to Tamara Brummer and Tima Amara, two amazing women that I've known for a while now, to talk about Black women and our roles in the movement. And so I'm going to ask the two of you some important questions. We're going to get into an interesting dialogue about that. And so I'm going to ask this important question to the two of you. And the question is, why are Black women praised as democracy's backbone, but excluded from its leadership structures? I'm going to kick that over to you first, Fatima.
Yeah, I mean, my short answer was one word: misogynoir.
In the podcast, we're done.
But misogynoir because it's the anti-Blackness. It is the misogyny against women that Black women experience uniquely, and it's built into all of the systems of our country from its founding. And so, you will have an appreciation of our labor because that is how Black people, Black women, were used in this country. And that's it, essentially. Like, oh, okay, we can appreciate you for your labor and your support, but never seeing you as the leaders that you have every right to be and can be.
So just seen as workers.
Yeah.
And not seen as, contributors.
Right.
And as creators.
Right. Even when it's complimentary. Like, I was thinking back after 2020 with Georgia, and I want to say it was one of the elected officials. He was being very complimentary, but he was like, Stacey Abrams put Georgia on her back, and carried it to the helped carry it to the finish line. And I was like, even that imagery, I was just like, carried it on her back, like put like the labor. But then when Stacey Abrams was like, yo, I think that I could be a good vice presidential pick, like all of a sudden all the naysayers came out the woodwork saying, nah, but you didn't even win Georgia though. I was like, wait, but you appreciated her when she laid the groundwork for the victories that have come out of Georgia. Georgia wouldn't even be a thing in the presidential election had it not been for the organizing work that she laid the foundation for with her organizations, and then the organizations that came afterwards. We wouldn't have two Democratic senators in the mix.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Tamara, what about you? Why is it that, Black women are praised to be the backbone for democracy, but we're not seen as part of the leadership structures?
Well, plus one, what was already said. I also just think about that we are architects. A lot of times what we're seeing when they talk about our labor and our work is as if we woke up one day and we're like, this is what I'm going to do, save democracy. But it's not thinking about that we actually built the democracy. So of course we're going to fight to protect it, to defend it, because it was ours. The systems that were structured in society were not built for any of the women at this table. Right. They weren't even thinking about us. They were like, girl, go get the water, leave us alone. But because we are witnesses to the systematic oppression, the way that we are cut out of things, we have decided and created our own systems so that we have a voice in this, and everyone gets to benefit from it. So then our labor, as we were saying, is erased. And the reason you can erase it because we live in an anti-Black society. right? Our whatever we create is just like a fluke. It's taken right from us, but we're not seen as the actual architects of this democracy. And that the reason that we're fighting for it is not for everybody else. I mean, it's great for everyone else, but it's for us. Because if no one fights for it for us, no one's gonna fight. Right? So like it's very easy to take our labor and erase us from it, because that is, to y'all's point, the history of this country.
So Tima, you just wrote a book.
Yeah.
And it's called How Black Women Have Been Essential to American Democracy, but you call it The Instigators. So that's an interesting title. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's always the number one question. They're like, why the instigators? And I'm like, well, I like the word instigator. I wanted something that reflected like vanguard, forefront, leading. And that is something that throughout history, regardless of the generations, any social movement in this country, you will always see a Black woman pushing at the forefront, whether she's acknowledged as that as such or not. Like she is doing a lot of the thinking and the strategizing and the pushing for the movement to be better than it is. And I was like, what's the word that encapsulates that? And I was looking through all the words in the dictionary and just in synonyms and trying to think of what would be like vanguard, but like in a person, and then instigator was there. And I thought it was interesting because one, I think it's weaponized against like agitators who usually end up being people of color, especially Black people. But then I also thought this is actually a word that is positive in that it means, like literally as a noun, somebody who initiates change or action. And so I'm like, that pretty much describes all of the women, the non-binary folks that I talk about in the book.
That's interesting. No, that's exciting that you wrote that kind of a book and that you named it Instigators, because as organizers, we are taught to actually instigate, right? To ask those questions, to interrogate, and to find out what people care about in order to move them to action. And Tamara, as an organizer, as an organizing director, talk about the role of Black women in that, right? There are so many names that we can think about that have of Black women who have been organizers that have led struggles. And can you talk about some of the work now that you see happening that Black women leading and organizing?
Absolutely. Even the history of Community Voices Heard, we were founded by a group of working women, Black women who are on welfare, who are fighting against a system that was already oppressive and putting more kind of like stipulations and barriers for their success. And not everyone knows those women's names, but they have absolutely changed the landscape of New York City and New York State. And that's the story we can tell across the country of the labor of Black women who have like up against the system, have created a campaign or created a movement to shift it, to change things. And we don't know those women's names. Well, I know them, you know them, Atima knows them, but like that is the history of our labor in this country. And so Community Voices Heard, what we're really focused on is we organize Black and brown working class folks across New York State. And we've really been leaning in on Black women to this point around our leadership in the state. Just so folks know a little bit of the context of New York City, in the past 2 decades, over 200,000 Black people have left the city.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In Harlem, which is kind of like this bedstone of Black political power, Black culture, over a 10-year period, it went from, it went from like 8,000, we dropped like to 8,000 Black folks who have left like Harlem.
Yeah.
Harlem. So that changes the culture, obviously, but also changes our political power. So what happens to Black political power as Black people are pushed out of our cities, and out of our states? And so for us at Community Voices Heard, we are rooted in affordability, and we use the lens of housing as that mechanism, because housing is not only your right, but it's what keeps people in our cities.
Yeah.
Affordable housing keeps Black and brown women, working class women, middle class women in the city. And so in our Follow Black Women program, we've really leaned into how do we talk to Black women about the issues that are important to them, and then galvanize and organize them to make collective and take action, right? So in this past electoral cycle, when we had a mayor who was running on an affordability platform, we asked him point blank, what are you going to do for Black women? We have ideas. We know what's going to work for not just us, but for the city. Can you commit to that? Because to the point of this whole conversation is that we are often put out as like I hate to say this, as mascots. Like the Stacey Abrams is a perfect example.
Right.
She's good enough to be the face of the party when it's convenient, but when it comes for her to have power and voice in the party, she's told to sit down. And so for us, we were not let Black women be pushed to the side. And so for us, we're organizing women, Black women, to really like get sharp about what not only are the problems, but again, what are the policy interventions that we can make so that New York is a place that we can not only live but thrive.
And I think just to add on to that point, we've made it very clear that our pathway to victory is Black women, right? Looking at, and I think you can appreciate this too, Atima, is that our pathway is around Black women who may be like low propensity voters, and once they're engaged, they stay engaged, right? And we found through our Follow Black Women project that being able to ask the question of, like, what do you care about? What are the issues that you care about? And the top issues were housing, education, and healthcare, and then digging deeper around why those issues, so on and so forth, and then bringing them into community with other Black women that cared about those issues, and then digging even deeper into that, and then bringing them, learning more about the issues, bringing them into community, understanding the process, what have you, really started to get them activated.
Right.
And
I was gonna say, like, but you also have to do that work. Like, I feel like as somebody who does this work, like I did it as an organizer and campaign staff, and then I flipped to just consulting and working with a number of organizations. My frustration has always been, and I focus with those organizations on turning out Black and brown voters, but a lot of times it's not even that they don't want to, it's like they don't get the funding for it, right?
Yes.
And like,
as an executive director,
right,
I can understand the
don't get the funding for it. And there's like data behind the fact that Black-led organizations don't get the funding they need to. There was that nice little like white guilt bump from about 20 to 2022. Money came in, and then out of that, it's just been kind of down, and then kind of plateau at that down part. And that's a problem, because then these organizations can't do the work that is needed year round to keep building relationships with folks, because you can't, like, I just came up to you on the street and you ain't know me from Adam, you'd be like, who are you? Why are you here? Why are you in my face? Especially Black people. Like, we don't, you gotta build a proper relationship with us before we're gonna like
everybody.
Once we're in, but you gotta like put in the work. And there's just even though we've seen the numbers show that the investment yields a lot of return, we don't see the investment that we need to be able to do that work on the ground.
Well, why do you think that is?
Well, again, misogynoir. Keep going back to that. But I mean, I think the party that is at least reflective of more progressive leaning people as of right now, the Democratic Party, has prioritized fighting for like white moderate voters, even though every election shows that most of these states that we went in, it's the Black people, especially the Black women, that turn out in large numbers, bringing their whole families and their communities to the polling in all these battleground states. But regardless, they're not invested. And then the organizations that are interested in it aren't getting the funding. And I think it's because funders, who are mostly white, are thinking of the value of turning out people who look like them. And they don't necessarily, even if they see the importance in that kind of voter engagement work, they're like, but why do I got to spend like money for it though? Right? Why don't they just want to like vote? Like, I remember like my first campaign, there was somebody who, there was a talk about, all right, we want to turn out these Black precincts because Black voting population in that district was significant enough to change an election. And this campaign staff that was predominantly white was like, well, I just don't like the idea of like paying people to like vote. And we're like, we're not paying people to vote. We're paying people who would normally either be at a job or maybe they're unemployed, who are very connected in their communities, to like do the door knocking, turning out of communities and whatever. So even like there's a resistance to it because they're like, well, you should just want to. And it's like, why would Black people just want to when they have also won every time they've invested in the system of their own free like will? It's ended up biting them and hurting them. And yeah, so
It's like you said, this expectation, this thought that you should want to do this.
You
or
should want to
you
do
should just
this.
do this.
And the prioritization of just white voters from white funders who value and think, well, if we just pour more money into turning out white suburban moms, like the number of folks I've worked with who are just absolutely convinced if we throw enough money at white women, like they will just change their minds. And it's not like a huge percentage that we need. Like we just need enough to be like 51%. And it's like improved, but it's not improved enough. Like if white women were with us, we'd just be winning everywhere. We wouldn't even be having this conversation, right? Like we just need like a little percentage of them. But like they're just like, let's just throw all this money here toward women who still are like gonna hide and take advantage of their whiteness. Just yeah. When you could get a larger return on investment and turning out people who are with you from the start.
Can I add? I think it's about power.
And that too.
Right? Like
Yeah.
they don't want to invest in building Black power.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what this is.
Yeah.
If you give an organization like Community Voices Heard power,
Mm-hmm.
money for us to be on the doors every single day, even in a non-election year, what kind of power could we be building for Black low-income women across New York City who live in public housing? It's about power.
Yeah.
People have said that women in public housing residents in New York City could theoretically elect the next mayor.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have the resources to talk to the thousands of Black and brown folks who live in affordable housing or public housing.
Right.
So I think there's also this kind of by design, how do you dilute our power is that you don't fund the mechanisms that help us build it. And that's kind of at the heart of this country. We're seeing this now, right? With the turn back of the clock to make America great again.
Right. For
Right.
who?
For whom? But we're
Right.
seeing what great means.
Right.
That means the loss of our power, the loss of our voting power in this country. So there's no real benefit for them, I think, to invest in us building real political power in this country.
Yeah. I think if there are some who might be. But like, yeah, overall, like, and when you think about it, look at like how things are breaking down over this redistricting fight, right?
Yeah.
Like there are Black districts being eliminated. And right now we got like a whole fight happening in Florida because a certain congresswoman's district was eliminated. And she like, well, let me go run in the district right next door. Problem is that's a majority Black district. So there's like 5 Black people running. Now I read just recently before I came here that they're like, all right, we need to get in a room, figure this out because we cannot lose this like one Black political district. Yeah, in like Florida. Yeah. But there's not even a conversation happening amongst Democrats who wouldn't even be where they were if it were not for Black and brown voters being like, all right, some white people are just gonna have to like not run, right? Who've served a long time in Congress and maybe losing their seats to preserve Black political power, but they don't like the answer to that. No.
Because there's a couple of questions that I have here, but there's one question that I'm thinking about because I keep thinking about the meme that was coming up after the 2024 election of Black women sipping their coffee or their tea or whatever they had
while they watch things burn.
While they watch things burn.
Right.
And in different people were saying and just looking at Black women like, so things are burning. Are y'all gonna help put out this fire? And literally Black women were just putting their hair behind their ear and still sipping whatever was in their cup because we're like, well, things have been on fire for a long time. Yeah. And we've been ringing the alarm and sounding the alarm for a long time.
Like it's like the fire has broken containment.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, 2016, when that happened, I will speak for myself. You know, that was kind of like, oh, y'all are serious about this kind of like make America white again agenda,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
And that I decided that I needed to buckle down and figure out how I'm going to fortify myself and my community in this moment. So then when 2024 happened, most Black women were in the same boat. Every Black woman I've talked to, I remember the day after the election, I did a sister call where I had all my girlfriends. I was like, let's just get on the phone together. Let's be on the Zoom together in community, because we are all we've got. And I think that this is what this moment is that Atima has this great shirt on that says, "For the record, we told you so."
Right.
And that's what makes people very upset in this moment, because Black women who you see our leadership when it's convenient to you, but when we're telling you that you're on the precipice of taking this country to a whole, taking us back hundreds of years. Oh, y'all are single issue voters. You only care about identity. And it's like, no, we care about this democracy. But you don't want to listen to us. So why would I continue to keep showing up someplace where I'm abused, ignored, disrespected? Why would I do that for my own integrity and self-respect?
Right.
If our communities are thinking the same way, why show up in spaces where we're clearly not wanted?
Right.
That's
I mean, listen, I mean, after the 24 election, I remember I was like, a couple of folks were like, everybody's like, I had a lot of white friends like me. I'm so sorry. It was like 2020 all over again, but now it wasn't about Wayne. It was about the election. I was like, oh, I know this is not just because of the work I had done, but like also just because, you know, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, and you can apologize, but then, and I know y'all voted the right way, but like, what? At least the people in my circle. But like, what are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna like fix it so that we get out of this on the other side and maybe build something better? Because honestly, Black women have done so much of the work, and while we are like, follow us, we also are like, do something, like follow us and do so, like make yourself useful in some way. Be an accomplice. Be a John Brown. Like, what are you? He's like, I'm gonna take up arms with my Black brethren. I believe in the cause of not only Black people being free, but also that they are equal to me and they are worth dying and fighting for. And I will use my privilege to like push them forward. So, because also we not all getting free. If you don't like what you're seeing and you're experiencing now, we not getting free until we're free, until we all free. It ain't gonna be you free and get on the other side and then like, no, because we're gonna get right back to where we started.
Because the other part of follow Black women is to your point of like, follow us and do something.
Right.
Like, you're following us because there is a level of expertise that we have.
Right.
That when it impacts us, it's going to impact you. It's going to get to you eventually. Because anything that impacts Black women, it's going to impact us 10 times, 20 times worse. So when it gets to you, it's going to hit you a little bit. But when it gets us, it gets us instantly. So listen to us. Because we're the test case, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, no one cares.
Oh, we already know.
You know?
Misogynoir.
You know? And right, misogynoir. And then all the things. And then later on, people are like, oh my goodness, I didn't know this thing was going to happen.
Right.
Or I didn't know it was going to be like that.
Right.
Or I didn't think it was going to be serious or whatever. But then, alas, here we are. So then the next question I have is, so what does, let's imagine, let's take a little imaginary trip, right? Let's imagine.
Do the John Lennon imagine.
Exactly. So if people were to actually follow Black women, what would it look like if they did? What would a democracy look like if people were to actually follow Black women?
Woo. I mean, that's basically the thesis of my book. So, by my book, The
I know, that's
Instigators,
right.
how Black
Yeah.
women have been
Yes,
essential
my
to
book.
American democracy and what we can learn from them. Because what we can learn from them is the thing, right? Like, if what we learn from them is the ways in which we can defeat authoritarianism, build a true, inclusive, multiracial democracy, one that policy and politics is reflective of the whole population. And you can learn that from Black women because we are so marginalized in this country and disregarded. Like, if we fixing Black maternal health, we're fixing all maternal health.
Right.
If we're raising the wage for Black women, by default, everybody else gets their wages who are women of color and, white women raised. Like, if we're fixing the housing problem, the housing crisis in this country, we are building more houses and everybody get the benefit from that. I remember seeing a study, I was doing some research for the book. One of the things they showed was that where Black people were elected and where also Black voters turned out were areas where like infrastructure and the social safety net was invested in more.
Mm.
And that benefited the white people who lived in that area. I'm just saying, like, there is so much great, wonderful abundance on the other side of following Black women. If for no other reason, simply like you too will benefit from the policy and the organizing. But also, and I'll go back to the fighting authoritarianism point because I want to reiterate that, is that this is pretty much all of the Western Hemisphere to some regard, but definitely the US. Black people lived in communities that were basically under authoritarian rule, where they were like represented by all like white elected officials. They were kept from voting. Their political power was diluted, and they were terrorized from going to vote. They're like, Black women were assaulted as a form of terrorism, like sexually assaulted, raped. Black men were lynched. And still, generation after generation, there was always a group that was willing to find ways to organize and instigate. And so there's lessons to be learned from that for now, as a lot of people who are not Black and who are not Indigenous are really learning in real time what it means when the government don't really care about you and are actively trying to suppress your rights.
Thoughts, Tamara? What would it look like? What would democracy look like if people actually followed Black women?
Well, we would have a democracy.
There's that.
I know that's right.
We would have a democracy.
Mhm.
You know, again, I think Georgia is a perfect example. Stacey Abrams looked at the map. She looked at the numbers and she was like, if I want to change this state, I need to register XYZ voters. That's what she did. Change the map. You too could have a democracy if you follow Black women. You know, to the Tima's point, the reason we have public schools in this country is because freed Black slaves wanted to be educated and said, you know what, the federal government could put some money into this. And guess what? Everybody gets public schools. Right? And I also think then, what does our democracy look like if you follow Black women? I think we'll have a democracy based in like love and hope and abundance, and that you see the humanity in us. I think that is really at the heart of, for a lot of folks, even in their best of intentions, I think it's really hard for people to see a Black woman and say, I want to take leadership from her. Like something in their body, like in this country, when we have lived in a white supremacist country, is telling white people that they should be in charge. I get it. If everything I looked at had me on it, I too think I should be in charge too. Right?
Yeah.
Every piece of money you see, everything you have right now for 250 years is a white person, most likely a white man. So then you see me or any of y'all, and I have a great idea. I kind of think you might be even a little wired to be like, oh, that's not a good idea. Not anybody but her.
Yeah.
So then we could have a real democracy if you could see my humanity.
Right.
That you can see that our faiths are absolutely tied. Right. And that is, unfortunately, we are on the front lines. When it comes for people, it comes from us first. And what you don't realize is that if we are gone, if we are not engaged, the blowback to you is going to be so much more. And I'm not saying that we should take the blowback, but what I'm saying is if we stood together, it wouldn't be the same. The
Right.
blowback would be a little bit, it's like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. But instead of having us take all the licks, right? Not just in our democracy, but in the workplace, how many Black women have been let go in the past 2 years,
Right.
have been erased from the
Over
workplace?
600,000.
Listen, when we think
We're
about the
talking about
federal
them, yeah.
government,
Yeah.
right? That's one of the largest employers of Black people in this country is the federal government. And what are they doing to it?
Yeah.
Dismantling it.
Mm-hmm.
So our democracy, if you listen to Black women, you would have a government that works. Right? We would
Right.
have the tools, and we're facing some real crises in this country, but we don't have the infrastructure because you've dismantled the government because Black women.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you could have a democracy if you follow Black women. You could have a functioning country, a government that works for the people if you follow Black women. And we've proven that. We've proven that.
Yeah.
Right? The Voting Rights Act, Black women were front and center,
Yeah.
right?
Front and
We
center.
might not know all their names, or we know their names because we have done the work, or you've written a book about it. So
yeah.
you definitely know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All the names,
But
yeah.
the fact that people will read Atima's book and be like, I never heard of this woman. It's like she's the architect of something amazing that's changed the whole future of this country. So if you listen to us and follow us, we actually are doing it, but you choose not to. That's a choice.
Mhm.
And so you're telling me that you don't want a functioning democracy. You're okay with the way things are. You're actually okay that you don't get better because I don't get it. That's what you care about, right? That's wild to me. Like I think everybody should eat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody should
Everybody
eat.
should eat.
But if you
Yes,
don't
yeah.
think that I am a human enough, that I don't have hunger, and you see me eating, you're gonna feel a certain way. And what we're telling folks is like, just listen to Black women, because we actually do know what's going on, because the system was built to keep us out. But every single generation, we figure out a way
Right.
to move things forward. That is innovation. That is genius, right? So if you listen to us, you could have a dynamic
Mm-hmm.
country, democracy, government.
I was thinking about this too because I had like a friend, and it's like mostly about like pop culture stuff or like food or like whatever. And she's white, and every time like she finally like does what I say, she's like, "Girl, you were so right about that. Like you were so like I don't like." I just Atima is like, and she always says that. Like she'll say to her other friends, Atima's always right about stuff. So like, don't even question her food recommendations or show recommendations. Getting on this app or picking recommendations, and I'm just like, right. So imagine if we did that for policy and politics.
Right. Right.
Look how much better your life could be if you would just listen to me.
Right.
Profound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just said something too about the 600,000 Black women who have lost their jobs from the federal government, and we're not even talking about them.
Nah.
We heard a little bit about when it was 300,000.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the 600,000.
And you know it's like more than that now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a crisis.
Another
Yeah.
crisis.
That is a crisis.
That's a
And
crisis.
like canary
Yeah.
in the coal mine of the coal mine
Yeah.
of like just what's going to happen. Because also,
Yes.
and that's what Anna Gifty says in her book, The Double Tax,
Yep.
which is like the indicators on our employment
Mhm.
is indicating how everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
And the way I've seen these social media streets and my social networks of people who are fairly well educated and have a lot of job experience who are still looking for jobs across the board.
The economy is in shambles.
Yeah.
Shambles.
Shambles.
Yeah.
It's a dollar is nothing.
$1 is what is that?
Right. What is this artifact?
What's that gonna
you've
buy?
given me,
What's that
you
gonna buy
know?
for me? Right.
But if you're to this point of like, if you are listening to what's happening to Black women across the country, you already know that.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Wow.
We already know that.
Yep.
Mhm.
And that's why in 2024, we already knew the economy was looking a little funny.
Mhm.
And we all were trying to look at each other like, how can I support you? How can I support you?
Yep.
How are we going to do this mutual aid so we take care of each other?
Mhm.
And that is what we've had to do. And I think sometimes because people don't think we're human, they think we're magical, but also ignorant. When they see us do the things that we do to survive and thrive,
Yeah.
they think it's kind of like, oh, they're just stronger at that thing. But that isn't, they don't say that like, you're geniuses.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're looking at the board and you're saying you're making calculated decisions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've told people I went to, integrated schools, shout out board, Brown versus board. I've been navigating white spaces since kindergarten.
Yeah, same. for the most part.
So if
Yeah.
you
Like there
think
was like a
about-
period where
when
I
you
didn't.
think
Yeah.
about strategy,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you're in kindergarten, everybody is white, your little teacher's white, you are different, you realize you're different, and you see that you're treated differently. So
Mhm.
I'm already calculating
how to
these
move.
moves I
Yep.
need to make because I know what success needs to be.
Mhm.
They're not the metric, but I know what success is, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we have been doing that for years.
Yeah.
In our
Mm-hmm.
own personal lives. So why can't that not be translated into these other aspects of the governing of our country?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had that. Like, it was like another author that I saw saying it when she was talking to a white woman, saying like, "Well, why can't it be like listen to women?" And she was like, "Because Black women have had to sit with trying to figure this out a lot longer,
Yeah.
and so we know the answer." She's like, "Y'all white women just got here for the most part. Some of y'all, maybe if you grew up in community with us, or experience like I found like working with some of my lower income." White girlfriends as organizers, like they were a little bit more clued in. They got it because of their like the experience of income inequality and all of that kind of, and then the communities that they had to live in kind of opened their eyes a little bit more. But white middle class, upper and higher, oof, like they don't have to sit with those things, right? I mean, even, and this was just funny, it was like an anecdotal thing. We were talking about dating. And I remember this white woman said, it was on social media. She said, oh, now that I've made a certain amount, I don't feel this pressure to date somebody because of their income or settle down with somebody because of their income. And I was like, oh, that's how y'all look at it. Like, I was like, I'm just looking for basically my mom was like, make sure you have you down, because you'll know if you partner up with a Black man, you don't know what he gonna have. So make sure you have your financial situation and everything. That's why we have so many educated Black women and who are with multiple degrees and are the majority going to college and grad school and all of that, because we were not raised to think, oh, okay, then we can like hitch our financial security to a man.
Right.
Because
You didn't go to college for your MRS.
yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So
that
when
wasn't
you
on our
have to
brain.
think about
Yeah.
navigating and surviving, even just think about this now. I always laugh about it. Like, it was like Black and white women when I was in college, we were all sitting around talking about families and having them. And the white women said, oh, well, I just don't really like know how I'm going to balance both. And the Black women were like, wait, like, isn't that what, that's what
We do.
that's what we do. Like, that's what our mamas did, that's what our grandmamas did. Like, what do you mean? How you going to balance both? You just make it work. So living in those two realities, one of which is like a reality that's always trying to figure it out and like building for yourself, to your point, makes us like more equipped to like figure out the answers or offer the answers and the strategy on our way forward.
I mean, we, as Black women, we know that we're always going to be, unfortunately, we're always going to be seen as quote unquote the workhorses. And unfortunately, I feel like we're never going to stop being seen as that. Right. And I think because of the work that we all do, we know that we are more than that. We're strategists, we're architects, right? We're instigators. And we're constantly pushing against that workhorse narrative. But even with the strategist title, the instigator title, we are still workhorses within those titles, right? And then wonder if you all could speak to some of that a little bit, because to speak to a little bit about that, because we're still workhorses within the title of strategist and architect.
I work hard for y'all. And for Black women, I work hard. I'll be a workhorse for Black women. I'll use whatever little privilege I have to work hard so other Black women can eat. Like we all will do it for other Black women. But to that point, around 2024, no, not for everybody else. right?
Mhm.
I have my therapist, wonderful woman, shout out Sonia. She told me one day, Tamara, give less, because your
Mm.
less is going to be so much more than theirs.
Mm.
You give 80%, that's going to be their like 120%. Because to this point, you've already been navigating these systems. You already have the answer in a way. You don't have to prove anything to these people. Don't give them all. Don't give them all.
Mhm.
I'll give you, Juanita,
Mhm.
everything because I trust you and I
Mhm.
respect your leadership and I believe in your vision.
Mhm.
And I think that you believe in mine. So I will work very hard for your vision because I believe it will benefit me and others.
Yeah.
You know, so like we will always be seen as mules in this country to this point. Our
Mhm.
labor is always going to be seen as we built this country on our backs, et cetera, et cetera. You can have it. That's not what you think about me. Fine. Nothing I will do will change that because you've already shown me that
Yeah.
in the way that you vote, in the way that you legislate,
Yeah.
the way that you govern. So I don't know if I can fight a narrative that is already rooted in something that is not rooted in reality.
Mm.
So
That's fair. Yeah.
I'll be a hard worker for y'all,
Mm-hmm.
for
Right.
Black women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to slack off for y'all. And I'm not even slacking off for them,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not going to get my best and my brightest. Y'all are going to get my best and my brightest.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, I feel that. And also, like, by extension, and that could mean Black women by extension, but like also working hard for the family, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I got aging parents.
Yeah.
Like, my man, he's a little bit older than me. So, as we always joke, he'll retire sooner. So, you know, and even it's just work viability. He's like, my work viability, you know, there's a certain point where ageism just hits. And so, you know, and so, yeah, I'll be working a little longer. And so, like, it's like, all right, I got to think about protecting and taking care of my family, especially in a system where, like, woo, the way they are gutting the social safety net, I'm like, heaven forbid any of these folks get any more disabled.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and like what we do as Black people, like when we have family members, we just giving money away. We like moving them in. We like building little houses for them to live next door. Like we don't throw them in the nursing home. Like, you know, so I think, and I think it's like why I was saying to my husband the other day, I'm like, on top of like book promotion and work, I'm just tired because
Yeah.
I said there is no reason that like the amount of effort that I put in and, you know, the money I made over the course of my career shouldn't be enough to just breathe a little bit. But everything is way more expensive for everybody. So the money that you make doesn't go as far. And then add in the fact that I am Black and woman, and I know I'm not making as much as I could be making.
Yeah.
So I'm tired in that way. And that has led me to also kind of triage and be like, all right, it's my people and my family, like be they blood family or chosen family, but like taking care of those things because we got to make it through this.
Yeah.
Or take as many as I can.
I think about kind of like, how do you function in a system that was built so that your labor would always be free?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we are told that our value is only in our labor. So for Black women, the only way you are a value of me is if you work really hard to protect and defend this democracy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what your only purpose is. Don't have a thought about it though. Like just go do whatever you do. And I just think that like we have to this point about community, it's like we live in a society that does not want Black families to be together, right? Like systematically separated our families, our communities, sold people, all the things. That's in our legacy, that's in our blood. And so turning to family and community and putting all the good learning we learned and these other great institutions back in our communities is actually the work that I think is so important right now that we're doing.
Yeah.
It's going to be critical for the future generations to know that we've decided I'm going to take my gifts and talents elsewhere, right? Like LeBron was like, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going back home. I'm going back to where Black people are, where we're needed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like this is what this is like, these conversations and organizing in our communities and trying to find the new leaders who don't have all the education, who don't have all the money, but are absolutely brilliant. How do we empower them, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think is really this kind of like this workhorse piece. Like, again, they're always going to see us that way. No matter how good any of us are.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're the exception. You're not the norm.
Right.
You're one of the good ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But I'm gonna do what I can to make sure my people are good,
Yeah.
Mhm.
that our families are taken care of, that our nieces and nephews have money for school, that
Yeah,
you buying
facts.
laptops and books,
Right.
shoes.
Okay.
It's summertime. Camp prices are not cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have any kids, but you know how much money I be spending. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
feel
Right.
right.
that's kind of like
Yeah.
what we are doing, and I kind of feel like it just came naturally.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
2020 hit. No, excuse me, 20 when that man first got into office. I
Mhm.
set aside money. I just like I'm making a fund for if
Yeah.
anybody needs something from me in my community, I have something I can give.
Mm.
Yeah, I've started lately like carrying. I don't know because we're getting to be such a cashless society that I don't have cash on me. Now I've just started like carrying cash
Yep.
Yeah,
around
same.
Same.
Yeah, same.
Same.
because I'm like somebody asks.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if I
Mhm.
want to support a small business, a small Black business, I'm like, I'm gonna give you cash, right? Like these little things, so I
Yeah.
can just, I know how much it costs to like a transaction fee. This is kind of like building our community and getting back connected to ourselves.
Mhm.
I think is what's gonna actually save us democracy,
Yeah.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because we're gonna see each other again as people, as
Yeah.
our community, as my brother, as my sister, and that the forces that be will work really hard to separate us, but it's really we are all we got.
Yeah.
And we can
Mhm.
do that. We can take care of each other.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's well, I want to ask you this question because both of us are first generation kids, right?
Mhm.
Your parents are from Kenya?
Uganda.
Uganda,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Mhm.
And my parents are from Sierra Leone. And I always get excited when I meet another, African sister doing this work.
Mhm.
And so I want, if you, does it feel, I don't want to say like feels different, but like, how do you feel? Is there like another level of importance
To the work.
to the work, right? Or
Yeah.
urgency to this work,
Yeah.
given, being an African woman doing this work?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
1000%. I mean, it's kind of hard not to see what's happening on the immigration side of things and not be like, because, I mean, they're highlighting a lot of Latinos, but like, we know who's getting the worst of it in these detention centers. And they looking like,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
they're looking like us.
Yeah.
So that's the one. Number two, it's like also when you come from like countries that have struggled to maintain democracy and were put in that position
Yeah.
due to colonialism, another form of like Jim Crow, essentially.
Yeah.
You really value democracy in a way that is like different and similar to those of our like Black brothers whose families have been here,
Yeah.
forever. And you value it in this way of like, yo, this can be gone tomorrow, like for reals. And not wanting to say like, why don't you want to vote to them? Because you understand when you because I see it on my own, in African politics where people like, I'm gonna show up, vote, and the whole situation is rigged.
Yeah.
So why am I going to keep showing up? And I know that is the same feeling a lot of times, especially now in the Black community here. And so I'm like, but we've got to figure out a way to like take our power, I think is what kind of informs my work. I'm like, because the story of colonialism and Jim Crow is that they did not want us to have power. I'm right now reading this book that really talks about how the rest of the world would not have developed had it not been for the wealth, the resources of Africa. And just how sophisticated we were and all of those things, like they're trying to be like, oh well, the reason we started exploring was because of Asia and trying to get to spices. Nah, the reason y'all started exploring is you found out we had some gold and some silver and some things, and you like, let me go talk to some of these chiefs and see what I can get. See what I can steal, like. And so when I think about that, I'm like, the whole premise of this like has been of white supremacy has been trying to take our power and our resources away from us and are invested in making sure that not only does that happen, but that also we aren't like talking and in community with each other.
Yeah.
And not able to build back that power, right? And so there's like this level of urgency, because I see having that global perspective of how like Black people have been treated. Like I see what's the potential here if we're all together, and it gives me a sense of additional urgency.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same for you, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there definitely is the conversation about immigration that I always bring up, of saying Black people are also part of the immigration conversation, right? And I always remind African Americans of that too, when some folks want to say, oh, that's not our fight. That's not our fight. I'm like, no, it is.
It is, though.
It is our fight. And even have to remind folks in the immigration movement, Black immigration is also a fight.
Right.
We have an immigration system because of Black people.
I know, that's what they also say.
Right.
Like,
So when we're in Philadelphia, which is great, right? Let's go a bit of history and grounding.
Yeah.
If you're an enslaved person and you came to Philadelphia and you lived here for a certain amount of time, you could get your freedom. So what slave owners would do is take their slaves back to the plantation and the clock starts over. What's that sound like? The immigration policy in this country, right?
Right.
You come in, you can stay for 30, 60, 90 days, right? But the clock starts, you got to leave and come back. Like, immigration is a Black person issue. Citizenship is a Black person issue. Right? This whole like birthright citizenship
is a Black.
That was because
maybe some of us were brought over here and was trying to get you right.
And they were like trying to send us back, and they're like,
so like all of these things are connected. And if you insist, I think as a Black American, to think that those issues don't matter to you, I'm gonna say I think you're a fool. You're playing into the game. You're playing into the trap. Because what we're seeing happening with ICE in our communities. We saw that in 2020. We saw it in 2016. We saw it in 2014 when our communities were under attack. Yeah. It's the same strategies that they're using on our Black and brown immigrant brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And they're all connected. They're all urgent. And I remember when I just got back from Sierra Leone early April, I went and marched with my mom. And I remember the few times that I've gone back, but this last time, like it just hit in a certain way when someone said to me, oh, you don't have to worry about this thing. You're our Black sister. And like the level of freedom and being seen as a full human being there. And I was born in Minnesota. Right? I was born here.
Right.
And no one ever made me feel that free and open to walk around and feel seen here. But the country that clearly I'm connected to, right? I wasn't born in, I felt more seen and valued there.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like talking to somebody. I think she's biracial. She's very, very light skinned. But like she traveled to, I guess it was South Africa for the first time. And the first time she'd never been on the continent. She was there for a conference. And the front desk lady was like, oh, is this your first time on the continent? She's like, yeah. And then she leans over and grasps her hands and says, welcome home.
That's
our people. Yeah.
It's the feeling.
I think that's beautiful. And I want for Black people who are born in America, whose families were brought here, with generations of enslavement, feel the same way here. Because this is our country. Right?
Yeah.
I'm an American. I'm not a big like these colors don't run kind of person, but I'm an American. Right. And that this is my country. I have every right to be here, to take up space. Regardless of what anyone else says. This is where I belong. And I think that like this kind of connection with like Pan-Africanism across the diaspora is what fortifies that. Like when I see you all go home, and when Juanita was home, I was like, dang, that looked nice.
I was dropping pictures
but you
in the
know
chat
what? My
all day.
ancestral homeland is the South. And I feel that way when I go to the South.
Yeah.
Right? So the same kind of like our fates are so connected and so tied to each other. And I just think that this is why like following Black women, this is it. It's not about follow Black American women, follow Black this.
It's like follow Black women.
It's not just here in America, but in other parts of the diaspora. Black women have been leading the charge, changing the democracies and the shapes of their societies all over the place.
Yeah. And so I know we're wrapping up, but like what is that that last thing that we want to leave our viewers out here in Netroots Nation with as we are talking about following Black women?
Man, read some books, including mine, The Instigators, How Black Women Have Been Essential to American Democracy and What We Can Learn from Them. And also, because what I say in the book is also like find Black women's organizations that you can support, candidates that you can support, leaders and community activists who are young who could use the mentorship and support. Donate some money. There are multiple ways that everybody thinks, oh, well, if I'm involved in politics, I got to run for office. No, and you don't also have to work on a campaign full time like I have. Like, there are so many different ways to like support democracy, support Black women who are doing the work of democracy. Maybe you're like, all right, I'm just the funder. Great, send some dollars, right? So that's what I would say.
What about you, Tamara?
Well, you can become a member of Community Voices Heard. We are a power building organization. And to that Atima's point, join something. These can feel like very kind of isolating times. But if you find something you believe in and there's an organization that's doing it, join them. Go leafleting, go do a handout, give them some money. And I also think it's like connect with your neighbors. Like the actual Black people you see every single day. It could be the homeless brother. It could be all see each other, right? Acknowledge the humanity in each other, because everyone else is telling us that we're not human. But if I don't think you're human, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, like really leaning into that, and then just take care of each other. Give your money, feed some people, help some kids out, do a mentorship, just be of service to your community.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will add on. So definitely join Community Voices Heard. So www.cvhaction.org. Also, we are doing our Follow Black Women panel tomorrow. Atima is on the panel. I'll be on the panel. Elizabeth Booker is our moderator. We're going to continue this conversation about following Black women and building durable power. And continuing to follow Black women, because we are the architects and the instigators and the creators and the shapers of democracy. And we're not the workhorses or the work mules. We are the ones that shape and create and leaders. So continue to follow us. And so on that note, thanks for watching our podcast of Follow Black Women.